Sunday to everybody. Your host, Gotham City's Arcade. I want to say thank you to everybody that's joining into the live feed today. I want to give a shout out to 19K Fox. He's up in Chicago. He's flying back home. His son just graduated from A school or basic training in the Navy, and I want to send love his way. Being a service member myself, we always want to give love to our kids that go and fight for this country. So I want to send some love his way. I want to give some love also to P Does for bringing me on his podcast the other day because he didn't have to, but I had a great time. Thank you to the big homie for basically having me on his show. PD7, Corner K, all the community that's out there that's doing their thing. Everybody continue to make great content. So if you have not noticed, by today's feed is Home Arcade News number 18. I know it's been a while since I've been on YouTube. I was having some technical difficulties with the podcast that I did with 19K Fox. Hopefully it's been rectified, but the show must go on. We've been getting a lot of news lately about the Aliens versus Predator. What's going on, Video Game Vegas? Happy holidays to you. We've been getting a lot of news lately about the Alien versus Predator League. We just got the new Unico Candy Cade, which is interesting. And I'm going to talk about both of those things today because I figured there's some content now. I didn't just want to be doing any kind of content and just be doing a lot of just talking. So hopefully you can bear with me. I got a couple of slides. We'll get through this. Hopefully I can keep it down to a half an hour and we can move forward. So let's get to the show at hand. So everybody knows that shout out to Retro Ralph and P Does for dropping all the news footage on the new Unico Nova Blast. I think it's an interesting concept. Me personally, I'm definitely interested. I have never played with a candy cane ever in my entire life. But I am interested because the form factor is unique in itself. And I know a lot of people say, well, I never played with a candy cab. And I think we need to start looking at the history of the arcade period. I think we need to broaden our horizon because we gave iArcade a chance. We gave At Games a chance. Even though Arcade One-Up had to kind of get there eventually. But I think more competition in the market is actually a great thing. And with this candy cap, it brings something different in the element. And during Peter's podcast Friday, he did a secondary show on the with the rise portion because I was asking in the chat whether there's going to be a riser to go with it because all I saw was on a table and I'm like, well, is it going to have a riser? So we're going to get to that part. I will say this, based on the vertical horizontal at a 26-inch screen, I think this has a lot of great possibilities. And if you can add your own Pandora's box, console, your jammer to this, I think it opens up so many different possibilities. I mean, yes, me personally, I want more driving cabs, more shooting cabs, but I think we have to wait until more information comes out from Unico to see what else is going to be added to this cab. But right now, I'm kind of curious and I am definitely interested in maybe purchasing this cab down the road. So if you look at the screen, you'll see that it's horizontal and vertical. So the only cab that's actually doing that in today's market is the At Games Mini. You have to actually unscrew it to actually turn it from horizontal to vertical or vertical to horizontal. So I think this will be interesting if this is all a setting based on the games to actually change the format, and that'll be kind of cool in itself. So hopefully we'll see that in the upcoming months, in a couple weeks, I mean. So let's go to the next one. So if you have not noticed, it has It has a riser based on the clips that P Dubs has sent me. Let's see what Video Game Vegas. I had a sit down 3/4 scale for kind of a candy cab vibe, but not a candy cab. It was a blank canvas where you bought your own, and you're just like Unico is a rec room master. Okay, I mean, yes, but you got to look at the form factor. Video Game Vegas, you got to look at the form factor. This is specifically for it. I did have questions like, do it have a linkable aspect? So if you consider to turn that control panel into a one player and then have another one behind it, that would make a sense for like a dual one player versus one player kind of motion. So I would be very interested in that, but we'll get to that one in a couple moments. But get back to the riser. The riser has an empty space where you can actually add your consoles, your desktop, your PC down there. It has a coin door, which it don't make no sense because it's not centered in the middle of the cab. And being that it's two players, shouldn't you have two coin doors? But maybe they'll correct that down the road. But hopefully, this is just a render and this is just an early view of it. So hopefully there'll be some changes going down the road. When you look at it, like the way it sits, I like the screen portion. I think it looks kind of unique. I do like the fact that you can put it on a counter or a tabletop. The Rec Room Master is the same kind of idea, but no longer makes a 3/4 sky. Well, you gotta understand back. Maybe a lot of people didn't know about the existence of it. Like, this is my first time even hearing about the Rec Room Master being in a 3/4 scale. So, and I have never seen one before. But being that this is a candy cap format, maybe there's add some depth in it. I think this has something unique to be offered to the community, but we'll find out when. I guess they're supposed to be coming on the Game Room dudes, the Super Game Room dudes. Unico is supposed to be coming on the Super Game Room dudes, so we'll find out then what is all the information to this cabinet. But looking at the render based on the picture that I got up, I do like the fact that the screen is bigger. But my thing is the control deck even wider, because my thing is like when you look at the at games and you look at Arcade 1-Up and you look at iArcade and in the former MVSX, the control panels are small. The biggest one out of the two player is the at games. But I want to know, are we going to get a different side? Maybe we can basically get a bigger panel to kind of space it out. So that way, if two people sitting at the control panel and playing a game, or do we have space, or are we going to be kind of nudged up against each other? Those are questions I want to ask, and I think the rest of the community is going to want to ask as well. So let's get to the next one. When you look at the control panel, it has San Juan sticks and buttons, which is great. I love that. But I want to know, are we going to get like a steering wheel component? Are we going to get sending guns to go with? These are the things I want to know, like add-ons to it. Can we buy it from a third-party vendor, or are we going to have to go through Unico to get it? Those are questions I want to ask. And then a lot of people might want to make this so one control panel. Is that an option as well? So I want to see if we're going to basically get to that point where we can change the variable, because a lot of people said they don't want a two-player control panel, and if this is not going to allow you to be online, or you don't have a lot of people around you in your house, would it make sense? Would it make sense to have this? You're right, GCA. Unico is bringing the heat. Of course, I do feel that. And Sinners would be fired. Yeah, I mean, we want to see a lot of things. Like, my thing is, like, I like the form factor, but there's a lot of questions that all of us is going to have for all this. And we want to make sure that if we're spending a good sum of money, what is the capabilities of this cab? Because at games is the best by far, when you add games and add, it has a steering wheel component, it has sending guns with it. You could add your own games. Even though this one plays console games, but you could do the exact same thing. So what am I getting that I can't get from At Games? Because At Games is a monster in itself, and it was very cheap. So I want to see how far and what is the information in the next couple of weeks. What makes this cab better than what I already got? Now, when we look at side by side, I do like the artwork. It do has that 80s, 90s vibe to it. I do love that. I like the fact that the speakers are facing outward on the top. I wish the light up marquee would be better. But I think when we get to the third party vendors, I think they'll figure it out and how to make this like maybe like the LED version at that ad game. So that way when it changes from game to game, it can actually change the title as well. So maybe we'll see things. It's too early to basically predict what they're going to do. The shape of the Unico is amazing. This is unique for sure. I agree. And it's definitely a change from what we already got. A lot of the cabinets are bulky. I think it'll give us something different in the room to mess with. But my thing is, if I would like to buy two. My thing is I want to buy two. And this is the reason why. If I buy two, I would rather make those control panels one player. So that way I can sit right in the middle like I'm sitting at the screen right now and play it directly. And then the person that I'm playing against is on the opposite side. So it gives us tremendous space to do what we got to do. However, I would love to have a sending gun if I'm playing like with some gun games like Big Buck Hunter or the game that just came, or Terminator 2, games like that. I would love to have space, or a driving game like Outrun or Montreal GP or Daytona or Cruising. I want it to be like where I'm centered on the control panel. I don't want it to be like dead centered, like where two people's right next to me. So I would want a one control panel. Back to back calves would be a great you see where I'm at with it. So it would make more sense because the candy calves, when you go to the arcade, it's only one player. So why would it? I understand they're trying to make it a two player, but they should keep it in the form factor that we have seen in videos and like videos and multiple arcades. Because if you go to like Japan, and I was stationed in Japan for a couple months, I never went in there, but I see like people are actually sitting down and there's a one player control panel. It just makes more sense to have it for you to be dead center than you just sitting off to the side and kind of looking at an angle. So it just don't make sense. But I think if I think of a price point for this, since it doesn't have any games and it's just a monitor, the molding is plastic, the controls are Sanwa, and you're buying the base itself, I would feel that it should be at least $650, pushing $700. With the Raj, it should be another $100. But you got to work a corridor, I assume another $150. So I think this might be a $950. I think it'll be a $900 or $950 cab altogether. But we need to know what is going to be attached to this cab and what makes it better than the At Game. So we'll find out in the weeks to come, and hopefully it will excite the community for us to support Unico, because we know a lot of us wanted Unico to make a blue cabin with the SNK series. They just never, I guess they lost the license for it, and I guess this is their next step. So I'm looking forward to what's coming forward from Unico, and hopefully we'll have a great 2024 coming with this cabin, because I'm feeling a little excitement. I haven't felt excitement for 2023. 2022 was just as bad. And, we all came out the pandemic for 2 years, had high hopes for the community, and hopefully this community could be resurrected by this one cab, and the resurgence of Unico. So hopefully we'll see that in the coming weeks. So now we got the leak from Arcade 1UP. Shout out to everybody that made videos. I didn't want to do a video. It just didn't make no sense. We heard it all the way around. But I want to speak a little bit about it. I think this is a great step for Arcade 1UP going forward. If they can get this cat out there for CES for January and they show this cat, the only issue I have with this cat is the games list. I like the fact that they use the 4-player control panel and put 3 players. So now everybody got space. I know they're going to use a 17-inch monitor. It's going to be BOE. Please do not put no TN monitors in it. On top of that, it is going to be a deluxe. I know everybody wants an XL. That's the way going forward. But for me personally, I'm going to buy the deluxe because it's all about space for me. I want to get as many cabs in my space as possible. Yes, I believe the deluxe will be better, but we haven't had enough deluxe cabinets to really like push everything out of there and start all over from scratch. We had NBA Jams, we had Golden Tee 3D, and then we had Pac-Man. That's not enough for me to clear out almost 4, like most of us is past 15 or 20 cabs. I've doubled that amount. I don't feel there's enough for me to say this cap should be an XL when we don't know what the amount that's going to be sold for this cap. And then on top of that, we don't even know what the price is. A lot of speculation is going at $5.99 or $6.99. If it's a deluxe, I think it should be $5.99. That's it. I think that's as far as we should go with it. It should be a $5.99 cap. It would be great if this was $4.99, but it is a big blue, and I think it would be great. But I think it should not look like the Street Fighter Big Blue. I think the base part should be different. I have a render on my page where this guy had made a Big Blue, and it's kind of like the base is a weird shape, but it makes sense when you're basically doing the speakers and the marquee the way it is. I would like the form factor on the base to change. If they keep the same form factor, they're being cheap about it. And then they're going to charge us a premium price for this cabinet because of the type. Now, what games I would like to see on it? This is a 3-player. I think this is the Capcom. I would love to see Gauntlet on here. That would be great. Sunset Riders will be great. Cadillacs and Dinosaur will be great. I know a lot of people say they would like to see Street Fighter Puzzle Fighter on here. I know there's a few other games that everybody want to see on this cab, but I think they need to change the games list because we're getting the same game list for every Capcom legacy. And this is a legacy cabinet, which it is. I think the games list need to change out tremendously. Thought AVP isn't for me as enough a game for me to justify the room, but I am so happy for those who been waiting for this cap, especially that. Yeah, I'm definitely supporting. Yes, I definitely agree with you. Biggie D, Kings of the Round would definitely be an extra add-on. Video Game Vegas, put in the chat what games would you add on to the cabinet. If you don't care for the marquee game, what games would make you pull the switch is like, oh, I need to go and get it? Because I think the extra add-on games would always ignite people to go and get it. Like, for the last couple years, we got Street Fighter. But I think the games list kept constantly changing, so we all kept replacing the cabinet out. Even though most of the majority of the games stayed with it, but some of the games switched out. My question is, what games would you add to this cabinet for you to see it day one and say, or maybe a month or two down the road for you to go and get it? So add, say 4 games. 4 games on top of the games I already stated. Biggie D, even though you said Kings of the Round, what new games would you like to add on to it as well? Because I think that would be a great possibility for the community to see that the games need to change. Because I have all the Street Fighter cabinets, from the Yoga Flame, the Big Blue, to the original OG Street Fighter, as well as the Road Warrior. and not much of the game list has changed. I would love to see what everybody comes up with. I love AVP, but it would have to come with both D&D games, Battle Circuit, and Kings of the Realm. Okay, that's doable. Well, Biggity, Punisher is in a vote. They're not going to, Disney has canceled Punisher. They think it's too violent. They don't want this game to come out. I agree. I think Punisher should be added on to it. I totally agree. I mean, I still got my Marvel Superheroes cabinet because you cannot find it anywhere beyond that cabs. And it should have been on the MVC2 cabinet. That would have made it an elite cabinet as well. But being that this is a 3-player cabinet, I agree. I believe that the Punisher Arcade One should reach out to Disney and tell them they need to release that game and add it onto it. And maybe at CES, we'll probably see it and it probably be an add-on. And I believe if that game is on there, Video Game Vegas, I believe you're going to get it. Lucky I got Punisher on the Marvel Superheroes. Yeah, but you got to think about it. If they add that onto that cab, I believe you will probably, if you got MVC2, you'll probably get rid of your Marvel Superheroes cabinet at that point. You'll probably just dump it. Because at that point, now you got it on a new form factor, a beautiful big blue, and maybe better than the original big blue with all the different cosmetic changes they've done on it. Plus the games, this is different. I believe this cab would be a great seller. But I don't see myself paying $750 or $700 for this cabinet. I believe this cab is at least $599 coming out the gate with tax. In most places, should be up to like $650. I think that'll be a great starting price. But I would love for Arcade One to do this for early adopters. Put it on your site, and only have 100 cabs. Sell it at $499. And once you sold out, that's it. I kid you not. Everybody will run over there and get that cab at $499. Now, if you don't agree with me, tell me you don't agree with me. Well, Biggie D, if Arcade One had 100 cabs and they sold it at $499, maybe a couple hours before it was actually hit out to the retailers, would you pull a switch? And it includes Punisher with it. Catalyzing Dinosaur, Mercer, also a 3-player game that needs to be on here. Arcade One makes 3-player control panel. They need to fill it with I agree. They do need to fill it with 3-player games, but they hold 97% of the library. And these are the things that we need to get our ambassador, aka Michael the Game Genie, to basically say that these games need to be added on it. Why is Punisher getting blacklisted in the first place? Well, Disney felt that it was too violent. That was the information that when I read, they felt that the game was too violent and they didn't want children to have access to this game, so they voted it. Now, but you got to think about it. It's just like NFL Blitz. Same thing. Even though it was a video game, they didn't want the little kids, this soft woke era, to basically to have access to this game. Punisher definitely wasn't removed for the violence. It's like most likely for the cigarette smoke. I doubt it. They were talking about they were talking about that it was mostly for the violence. Because when they looked at the old Punisher movies, it wasn't a game, it was the movies. They felt that the movies were violent, and then the game was adapted. Being it had the same title, it was accredited to that. So the cigarettes ain't got nothing to do with it because people smoke cigarettes anyway. And right now, people are smoking cigarettes. Makes sense that Disney is calling the shots. You understand, Disney has always been for kids, for little kids. Lion King, movies like that, Cinderella, 101 Dalmatian. They got to keep their reputation. Even though the Marvel universe is out of there, but it's not to the point where it's like excessive killing, and that's what the Punisher represents. He, even though he ain't got no superpowers, but being that he's a former special forces, and his knowledge is on weaponry, and the way he kills people, yes, I can understand that that might contaminate this woke generation going forward. So it makes sense, but I would love for them to pull it out and give us our last chance to get this cab. But I feel that at $4.99, if Arcade One Up can just have 100 cabs and sell it at $100, and then whoever missed out on it can have it at the price point of, I believe $6.99 would be too high, Biggity, but I can see $6.99. Disney ain't for kids any longer. It's just target kids and this woke agenda. Disgusting. Disney's always been for kids. You know what? I watched the last true Disney movie I watched was Lion King, and it was an awesome movie, best-selling movie of all time. And then Pixar picked up the flag and ran forward. And we don't get a lot of Disney movies like we used to get with all the singing. Those movies, we don't get those anymore. So, but Disney is, it has broadened its horizon, has a diverse culture of what they want in their wheelhouse. But when it's projected more towards kids, and I think with the access of that, yes, I think it comes in. I think a lot of things comes in play, and you don't know who sit on those board of directors. You don't know what groups are targeting them. It's such a different climate with a lot of things these days. It's horrible, and I feel that at the end of the day, the Generation X is the last true generation of good of what we thought was what we seen in the world today as actual culture. You gotta understand, when you go to schools now, you don't even know what the gender of a kid is anymore. You got to be scared of that. You got to be afraid that you're going to offend somebody or based on what you say. This is not like we live in the Archie Bunker or Al Bundy or George Jefferson era where everything flew and you had to accept it. People are not accepting things like they once did. You got people quitting their jobs left and right because they don't want to tolerate the lack of morale at the workplace. A lot of times you came to work, it was just all about work. Everybody want to be happy now. So, but when it comes to the movies and the type of video games, you see how they're editing everything. And NFL Blitz was right there. Fast and Furious was another one. I mean, we're getting chopped up games. We're basically coming out of our culture. And the only way you get a real vibrancy of the game, unless you still got the cartridge or you got an emulator. I have, if you saw my posts, I have a ton of consoles. And I got top boxes full of games. I got an app games that you could just do the emulation. So if we don't get Punisher, it would be a sad day. But like I said, I hope the list that Video Game Vegas said about the games that need to be added on, as well as Biggie D, we need to make sure that things is going in the right direction. Now, for my title at hand, do I feel this next year should be a better year? I believe so. I mean, we look at with Unico and Arcade One Ups. Based on these two leads, do I feel that next year will be better than this year? I would hope so. I'm trying to stay positive. If Arcade One Up cannot come out with some bangers, at least 4 or 5 good cabinets. And I mean, their legacy cabinets have to be great. And they got to give us 2 main cabs. Now, Sega is not in play anymore, so I don't know what their relationship is. But if we can get Sega back in and get Daytona, I believe Arcade One will have a great year. Unico with this candy cab, if people didn't go and get the app games and they want to go and get this, I think this will be a great add-on to the room. But all in all, that is the end of my show. I appreciate everybody coming out. Biggie D, appreciate you for showing love. Video Game Vegas, Zero Rendered. Thank you, everybody, for coming out today. At Games is swinging for the fences. Yeah, they are. I think, based on their 2 renders they got, 3 renders, I think if I had a choice, to pick one, it'll probably be the Snoopy one. I mean, I'm not a fan. I'm a fan of Addams Family, but I like the Addams Family cartoon, to be honest. But I'm gonna wait to see what other skins they'll bring out for that one. Uh, thank you, Video Game Vegas, for showing me love. Zero Reddix, appreciate you coming out, as well as Biggie D. I want to end my show. I was just filling in for 19K Fox. He's normally have an hour show. Uh, I just wanted to fill in. Hopefully next Sunday he'll be back in. I will not be banging heads with the brother. I definitely enjoy watching his podcast. Snoopy is amazing. I think so too, but I think everybody wants like Jurassic Park, cat tables like that, with real skins. And I think that will go great if we can get the skins we want. I think that the fact is that at gamers need to ask the community what kind of skins they want and make the skins based on what the community is asking for instead of shit that they think that's going to sell. Because that dinosaur dynasty shit is trash. Like I would tell them, it's straight trash. I have no aspirations for that. But if it had been a Jurassic Park, then I would have probably considered putting up the money to go and get that. But we'll see. Next year should be great. I hope. Do the 19 post show next week or pre-show. I might do that. I mean, that would be great. I might get with the big brother and ask him, can I come on just for a half an hour and kind of get him warmed up and then just kind of allow him to merge and his show to merge into as I'm dipping out, him merging out. So that will probably be great. And I think a half an hour would be great because I don't have the best voice for podcasts, but I think it would be great. I think to hype him up and get his show started, maybe that might be a great idea for me, and I will definitely consider that because I just gotta have topics to talk about. But I appreciate everybody showing me love. 19K Fox, everybody in the community, thank you for coming out tonight. Everybody that's gonna watch it on the rerun, if you like this podcast, please give me a thumbs up on the way out. Everybody, happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Make sure you cut your turkey. Make sure it's not bleeding. Be safe out there. I know your kids will be home for the next couple of days. Be safe for the Black Friday sales out there that's coming on Friday. Don't get no confrontation. Please reach out to me if you get locked up. I can come and get you out. I got some friends where you at. But this is the end of the show. And this is it for me. I'll see you probably next Sunday. I'll probably do this next Sunday, and I'll probably pick a different time slot and see what time he comes on and just come in front of his. So everybody have a great and wonderful work week, the short work week we have, and I'll see you next Sunday, hopefully. Peace.